The thing about gratitude and why a lot of people, I think, talk about gratitude is it's actually one of the emotions you can more easily trigger or control just with your intention.
And keep it at a steady state. Like bliss is something you might get right when a guest shows up you've been eager to see. But gratitude can be something that you keep consistently over your day to keep that rhythm and flow. And some of the studies show that people that maintain that make better choices as far as health choices in their body. They tend to eat better. They tend to exercise. They tend to do things that are beneficial for them. Welcome to the EnVibe Life podcast with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. By tuning in, you are joining a community that will inspire you to increase balance, wellness, and joy in your life. We'll offer expert information and insightful conversations to help us all on our journey to live more in vibe. For more information and articles, remember to also check out our website at envibelife.com. That's EnVibelife.com. And we're grateful that you're here.
Hello, and welcome to the EnVibe Life podcast with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. Thank you so much for joining us, and we really mean it. We always mean thank you, but today we're here to talk a little bit about gratitude with you guys. And the reason today's topic came about is Cheryl and I have been reviewing some of our core values and tenets and things we believe the most in that we want to base this business of EnVibe Life on. And as we've been doing that, we realized that, hey, we've really done podcasts or integrated those themes or topics into work we've done, articles we've written, podcasts we've done so far. But one thing struck us so hugely, Cheryl, and it's that gratitude underlies so much of our friendship, our relationship, and our business. And we haven't really hit on that much. And it really is its own topic. So we kind of thought, all right, let's do a podcast just about gratitude. And it's a hot topic. So a lot of people have heard about gratitude and, you know, many people talk about it. But I think not everyone knows why. Like, what can that attitude of gratitude do for you? So first of all, let's talk about gratitude in itself. What is it, or how to get yourself into a state of gratitude?
Well, gratitude, I think all of us, the first generic topic or definition, it would be to be thankful, right? And we think about that a lot, I guess, around Thanksgiving. Right?
I know.
We all think about it then, but it is something that we should incorporate in our lives just a little bit more often. And I'm going to go into some of the physical changes in our body that happen when we get into that attitude of gratitude.
So let's just clarify that, like what you said a little bit more. I think we always want to show gratitude and thanks for when someone does something for us or gives us a gift or anything like that. But we're talking about something beyond that here. And what we're saying is living with intentionality. And one of those intentions of being one of gratitude and appreciation, which are kind of two different things, but the same topic.
Yes.
Gratitude, I think, is, do you say thank you? Do you acknowledge or recognize whatever it is you're showing that emotion towards? But appreciation to me is, do you take it really deeper and really internalize? And this is just my definition, but do you really internalize that and kind of savor it a little bit more, which I think even elevates it to another level. I
can understand you defining it that way. And I think that's great. I do feel, and I think that works for you. I don't necessarily, in my life, and me defining it, I don't necessarily think of gratitude and appreciation being too much different. But maybe it's because I haven't taken much thought into defining the two differences in those words. I think of gratitude as being grateful for the things you have. Right? What you already have in front of you. And that could be physical, emotional, people, things, it could be whatever. But it's the gratitude of what you have. Because when you start to appreciate or be grateful for what you have, then you might realize that you have all you need.
Yes.
You know? Being grateful, I feel like, is something that I try and incorporate into my personal daily practice. I try, before I get out of bed in the morning, to go over some things that I'm grateful for. Just to share a little bit, some of those things that come to me first thing in the morning. Well, first of all, my husband's laying right there. My 2 dogs are laying there snuggling, so they always get first on the list. And then I go into the other things in my life too. My children.
I think Stephen would be glad to hear he at least was first.
Some days that's flip-flopped. If he's snoring, it's flip-flopped. But the dogs are nice and furry and warm, so some days they get first. But, you know, my children, my home, the roof over my head, that sort of stuff. I try and find gratefulness maybe when I'm exercising, that I'm grateful that I have the health to do whatever it is that I'm choosing to do at that moment. Those are ways that I incorporate it into my life. I try and incorporate it first thing in the morning because I sometimes can find that I will wake up with my brain reviewing conversations that might be conflict conversations or stories that necessarily aren't serving me in a great way. I might wake up with my brain going over those things, and I have to consciously say, you know what? Pause and let me just be grateful. Let me go over my gratitude list and get myself in that place before I get out of bed and start my day. And then I try and also, with my children, I try and get them every night before they go to bed, tell me something that day they were grateful for, you know, and I like to try and go into a couple of things. Even if we say the same thing every day my children are grateful for those dogs.
Right.
Or any dog they've gotten to see that day, you know. It's always interesting to see what they have found throughout the day they're grateful for. You know, it might be something completely I was not grateful for, right? Like the extra drive across town that threw my schedule for a loop, that is something they're grateful for that day. So then it makes me take a step back and be like, oh, okay, you know, don't complain so much about mom duties, right? So I incorporate it that way. I also incorporate it in how we start our staff meetings at CORE. When we have our staff meetings, we try and go around and everybody say one thing they're grateful for.
I've done that in meetings I've run before.
Yeah, it's a great way to kind of wipe the slate clean and change, you know, everybody come at a place of trying to find an equal frequency. And I mean that from a place of, you can probably go into this deeper with, you know, all of our bodies resonate at a certain frequency. You know, we all conduct energy. And I think that that is something that science has proven, right? And some days our energy is at a different frequency than others. Being in a place of gratitude puts you in a state of an elevated frequency.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that, my gratitude state today is the same frequency as my gratitude state tomorrow. Wherever that can be on the spectrum, it can change. So when you elevate that frequency and you come into a meeting with a group of people and you all try and get on the same frequency, the flow of the meeting will tend to go better or easier. Or if there is conflict, it's an easier way to communicate and find resolution if you can find that place of gratitude. For maybe your gratitude is just being able to come together as a group. In person, especially these days, we're not able to do that so much. And by being able to do that in person I'm kind of grateful for it a little bit, you know? And I think one of the biggest things that we find gratitude does is it will combat stress, right? When we are stressed over a constant period of time, not like stress, oh my gosh, I just almost, you know, hit a dog driving down the car, you're like, that would elevate your stress in a place you would need it. But when we have that stress that kind of stays with us, which is kind of like stress that comes from a place of worry, right? So we could have this low level stress that lasts us days, weeks, months, years sometimes. You know, that's a reality. Then the hormone cortisol is being constantly dumped into our body. When we have that level of hormone constantly being dumped into the body, that's when our bodies create inflammation. And we know inflammation from cortisol leads to cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disorders. That hormone will go into the pituitary gland, which affects our adrenals, and that can lead to adrenal fatigue. That sort of stress also, there's so many diseases and ailments out there that are directly related to inflammation, which comes from increased stress, which is cortisol.
Right. And if you don't believe that, just quickly Google inflammation. What can inflammation lead to? Any basic search like that, and you will be shocked.
And there are many things that we can do in our lives to help decrease inflammation. And that's many different podcasts.
I was going to say, this is a great topic for us to get. I just wrote it down.
Yeah.
So we don't
but
forget.
Today, one of the main things that I think is some days easier than others is having this attitude of gratitude, right? Really finding things to be grateful for. Some days that's harder. If you've had a really bad day or a stressed out day or things have really got you irritated, it might be harder to find that gratitude. On those days, I might just be going through the list, right? And I'm thinking, the list, to go through it. My children, my dog, my husband, my house, that going through my gratitude list. But if you really sit, some days, if I just sit and close my eyes and put my thoughts and heart into something that truly warms my soul. Think about your babies when you first had them.
That's what I was going to say. If there's nothing today, go to something in the past if you need to.
Totally.
And so I can just share that I use gratitude to get myself into an elevated emotional state, even when I begin a meditation. So there's a lot of research out there, and Cheryl, that I read a lot about the benefits of Heart-Brain Coherence, and there's an institute out there called the Heart Math Institute, and you can find it www.heartmath.com, and we can link that. And they've been researching heart-brain coherence for over 20 years.
Will you elaborate what that is?
And so what that is, like, we all know, I think, science has known for a really long time that the brain sends signals to the rest of the body. What this body of work shows is that the heart also does, or the heart sends signals to the brain. And so, your heart has output of blood and input of blood, and that's how you get the heart rhythm going back and forth. And the rhythm can be somewhat erratic. Just because you have 80 beats per minute, let's say, it doesn't mean that they are boom, boom, boom. Like to a metronome, they'll speed up and slow down. And so you look at what the rhythm is over a long period of time, but when you can get into a state of what they call coherence, where as much as possible you're in an even and steady rhythm, it starts to have physiological effects on the body. It's you get your heart and your brain sort of in sync, and the rest of the body will follow. And so what they show, like, you can go, just if you go to that Heart Math website, you can see just on their front page, they show that being in a state of coherence can have improvements on your focus, on your sleep, which we've been talking about this a lot lately. I don't know how many conversations I've had with friends lately about having a hard time sleeping, and I myself struggle with that too. And then, of course, things like, how calm are you? What is your fatigue like? And it can even affect emotional states of being as well. And so there are effects to your body, there are effects to your mood. And what you're really trying to do is get your emotions and your body to work in sync with each other. And that's how, this lends to being in a place of greater balance.
One thing I think of when you were saying the heart sending messages, someone might be like, that doesn't make sense. But think about it this way. When you go touch that hot burner, your hands sent the message to your brain to move your hand away.
That's a great way of looking at it.
So that it's like we do get external messages or touch internal messages going back and forth from the brain to the body. And the heart is just one way to do that.
And the way I think, and I'm not an expert on heart-brain coherence, I just am kind of into it. Right.
Yeah, I love it.
But how I think about it is when you're in that state of coherence, your heart rate or your heartbeat is working to help bring your body to optimal function and can help bring your mind to optimal function as well, because everything is just working together in a nice flow. Now, if you also want to look at, you talked about different emotions. Gratitude is, as you said, an elevated emotion. And a lot of people have different things on that. Again, to put out the experts out there that we can link, I personally like Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he has a chart that shows the rhythms of your body based on the emotional state you're in. And gratitude is, I think, one of the top 4 or 5 higher emotions. But the thing about gratitude, and this is the key, is that in general, like, so bliss might have a higher emotional state or physiological effect. Pure happiness, things like that. Those are harder things to get into. The thing about gratitude, and why a lot of people, I think, talk about gratitude, is it's actually one of the emotions you can more easily trigger or control just with your intention.
And keep it at a steady state. Like bliss is something you might get right when a guest shows up you've been eager to see. But gratitude can be something that you keep consistently over your day to keep that rhythm and flow. And some of the studies show that people that maintain that make better choices as far as health choices in their body. They tend to eat better, they tend to exercise, they tend to do things that are beneficial for them when they can maintain this consistent gratitude. Is that kind of help?
No, I think that gets down to it. And so the other benefit, like when you are starting to, let's say, meditate, but even if you're starting a meeting or whatever, the situation is, if you can get yourself in that state of gratitude, and another way to help regulate your heart rate is by breathing. And do that with a steady pace, like breathe into the count of 5 and out to the count of 5, into the count of 5, out to the count of 5. That's kind of one of the easiest ways to just get your body in a normal rhythm. Once you start to practice that and learn the habit of it, it also is something that you can apply throughout your day when you're in those really stressful situations, when you have to swerve the car to avoid hitting something or whatever, and you feel yourself start to race a little bit, or maybe you're standing in line and really frustrated because the person in front of you is taking so long, and you're supposed to be picking up your kids, and oh my goodness, I'm going to be late to get them, and things like that. That breathe into 5, out to 5, into 5, out to 5, and think of something for which you're grateful. Oh, but getting back to what you were saying, I know I wanted to talk about this even more. It doesn't have to be just a thing either. I know for myself, like, I love to travel and I love different places. I love being on the beach. I love being, places like that. It's something I have pure love for. And so I have a lot of gratitude for when I do it. And so sometimes that's my gratitude, and that's, again, I think I would call that more like appreciation. Okay. I will think of that thing that I have deep appreciation for, or being there, put myself in the situation of being there, and I notice instant changes to my your pattern of breathing state, and how I feel when I do that. And so it doesn't just have to be a thing, but also don't stress yourself out for what you're grateful for. Like you said, sometimes you have bad days. It can be that I'm sitting here. It can be, look at that tree outside the window. It can be, my kid brushed his teeth this morning without me having to ask, or, whatever.
That's not happening at my house yet.
Right, but it can be small moments, but really let those sink in and realize that right now in this moment, I am well, all is well, and pull in those thoughts of appreciation.
Definitely makes a huge difference. we've talked about like the physical state of the body, the mental state of the body. And when you get these guys in rhythm, and gratitude is a tool to find.
It's a tool, right.
It's a tool to find that rhythm, which also brings you back to an equal balance in your life. And that balance is another thing that we talk about every podcast. It's one of the main things that we've kind of based EnVibe on.
Another of our values.
It's another one of our core values of how we really want to establish this business that that we're building here together. So, but that balance is finding that equal rhythm that you're talking about.
Yes.
So it's just, I don't know. It's really great. And do you have any other tools that you use maybe to help find gratitude?
I think one thing that a lot of people have heard of, and I do use sometimes, is a gratitude journal.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And you can do this any time of day, but you mentioned going through the list with your kids at night.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people recommend doing your gratitude journal at night, but really, whatever works for you works. But the benefit of doing a gratitude journal at night is it starts to change your focus throughout the day so that you do notice those things, because you are in the habit of, what am I going to write in that journal tonight?
Yeah, right.
So then what happens is, as you go through your day, when you see that rose that might have blossomed in your garden, instead of just walking by it, you stop and savor it for a moment. And so by documenting it, for lack of a better term, at the end of the day, you're noticing things throughout the day for which you're grateful. Now, this has a snowball effect, because when you're constantly putting yourself in a place of gratitude, getting back to the thought that what you emit into the world, you get back. More things. First of all, you're going to notice more things, but you're also going to be attracting more things to you for which you're grateful. So you're putting yourself in a state of receiving and appreciation. And so more things will come to you that you appreciate. And so I think it just changes the whole dynamic of your life, because you are starting with one thing, but then really drawing in more to you.
Totally. One example I want to kind of go into how also I use gratitude is I'll work with people over, years, and we're working on their physical body and how it moves. And over years, we have to work through some aches and pains that people might have come up here and there. One of the things I try and pinpoint to people, because they get in this state when they first come in to see me, is I always ask how they're doing, right? How are you doing? How are you feeling? And most people's reaction, and this is what I'm asking for too, so it's very normal to have this reaction, is to let me know what's bothering them. Or what's not.
I do that.
Yeah. But that's what that's what I'm asking. I want to know, because it kind of guides me in what my plan is going to be, right? So what I try and point out is when someone comes in and they have nothing bothering them, I try and point out how awesome that is, right? This is great. So I try and bring a little gratefulness that, wow, you came in today and everything feels great. So we have such an opportunity here to move further, take the next step, do something stronger, push ourselves a little bit more. It's those windows of feeling good. I try and draw a little, oh, this is good. I had one client recently that was dealing with some neck and shoulder stuff pretty chronically, like over a month.
Was it me?
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. But you did have that too, now that you're saying that.
I did.
It actually was somebody else. But this kind of, not really, but maybe it goes to you. But I'm thinking of someone else when I tell this story. They had this neck and shoulder thing. And we were doing a lot of stuff. And they weren't just seeing me. They were seeing Steven. And, it was the ability of it getting better was much slower than most things, right? You had your neck and shoulders thing. You saw Steven one time and you were
a big difference.
Yeah, he made a big difference. So for it to last a month was a long time. She came in one day and she was like, yeah, my neck and shoulder thing it's much better. And I was like, this is awesome, because you've been dealing with it for a month. She really had forgotten that she had come to see me once a week for a month. And it been something we really had to focus on because it was causing a lot of problems. So when I was able to really point out that, guess what? It's not bothering you, and bring her to this place of like, yay, we can move forward and move on and do good things. It changed the whole session. It changed her posture right there in the moment. Right in the moment. She went from kind of doing the body scan to answer my question when she said that, oh, my neck and shoulders doing better. It's not bothering me. And I was like, this is great. You know, I showed my gratitude for her body finding healing and a path of, you know, health and wellness. It really changed. She stood up taller and was like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. It has been bothering me a month and now I feel good. So it just changed things, you know?
Okay, so my mind's going off in different directions.
Okay,
so
go
we
for
might
it.
be getting off track because it's just making me think about how, so you and Stephen in your business, and we talked about this with Stephen, your focus is on wellness.
Yes.
Where a lot of practitioners in the medical field are focused on illness, hurts and ailments. And I just wonder, there are probably no studies out there. I'm sure you have personal anecdotes. Are there on whether you're focusing on wellness versus illness, what effect that has on the clients?
You know, our whole healthcare industry as a whole in America focuses on illness.
Have a problem, come in.
We'll fix it.
Let me write whatever the solution is. And
we had a physical therapist that came and worked for us that was being hired by the city to change our health plan from a sick plan to a wellness plan. And what that means is instead of healthcare only paying for when you show up with, you know, all right, I'm having a stroke, and it'll show up, you get that paid for. It doesn't pay for the exercise, the meditation, the healthy food. It doesn't pay for any of the stuff that's going to keep you from having a stroke. And now I'm not saying I have the answers to that and that, you know, health insurance should pay for everything, but I'm just saying there should be a mindset switch in our brain to work towards health and wellness versus, oh, I'm not sick yet, I don't have to do anything.
And maybe sometimes the beginning of that is just focusing on or showing gratitude or appreciation for the things in you that are working well.
Yes, totally.
Instead, even if, you know, if my back hurts, but I can also say, you know, I can walk.
I'm grateful that I'm not in my bed.
Yes.
Yeah, there are definitely things that you can do. And breath is the key to the first thing to be grateful for, because breath can heal so many things and bring flow. And you brought that up with the inhale for 5, exhale for 5. Breath.
And there are many breathing techniques. That's a very easy one to help get into sync your body rhythm a little bit.
And that, you know, breath and gratefulness is a good baseline to start with.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I mean, so as you're telling all these stories, I realized I have a really good example of all of this recently, a real life example of, you know, it's the making the lemonade out of lemons or showing gratitude for what you have instead of frustration for everything that went. And it's when I was coming back from my recent trip. Remember I told you this story. I was out of town a couple weeks ago and actually had traveled out of the country during COVID, which is a little crazy.
A little stressful.
And so I know not everyone would agree with that, but my family made the decision to do that. We were going to a house in a very safe and vetted location. When we were coming back, though, we had a really, really frustrating travel day. We were flying. We live in Austin. We got from the remote location to Dallas and needed to catch a flight to Austin, but our plane had been delayed a little bit. So when we got to Dallas, we missed our connection, and every other connection to Austin was full for the day. And the airline I was dealing with was not very friendly or helpful about this at all. And so, you know, frustration all the way around by us, you know, I was with my husband and 2 of my sons, everyone there, 30 other people who got off the plane. I mean, it was a stressful situation. We ended up having to rent a car, which was really expensive in Dallas, to do a one-way drive to Austin, get ourselves here, got here late at night. We all had work and school the next morning. Very stressful. But one of the first things I did is after I kind of took my deep breath and shrugged off the lady at the ticket counter who said, hey, get this out there. I said, will we get some sort of refund for the leg that you missed, going from Dallas to Austin? She said, well, no, because you took part of the flight. You've already taken part of the flight. I know, but I'm in Dallas and I live in Austin. That's kind of a problem. I actually got cheers from some of the other people standing at the counter when I said that.
Yeah.
She was not impressed with this argument. Very frustrating. Anyway, so again, as soon as I walked away though, I had to say, first of all, I'm thankful that we have the resources to rent that Suburban to get us back to Austin. Second of all, we just had, even though it was a tumultuous week, we had bad weather come through. We had some issues with the house we were staying in. We were all well. I got to spend the week with my whole family. No one got sick when we were there. We stayed very safe and well. We left the vacation well, got on a plane, were able to all get back ultimately the day we needed to our locations. And really, all in all, we're fine. And I think, I could have gotten myself into such a frenzy over what had happened. And instead I said, I need to give myself a reality check. And the reality check was gratitude for what had gone well instead of what had gone badly. And, I came home and slept well that night and everything was okay. But it was just because I might have not been able to intentionally make myself happy or enthusiastic or blissful in that moment, but I was able to choose gratitude in that moment.
Definitely. It just changes things, because you probably weren't choosing it while you were at the ticket counter, but you could walk away and be like, okay,
I wasn't, although it was almost laughable. It was almost a laughable moment.
Right.
Like, what do you mean I took my flight? I'm not in the correct city.
A business like that?
I was also grateful that I was in Dallas 3 hours from my home instead of...
And had the ability to get a car
a couple of states away where I would have been stuck spending the night in the airport. And so, everything worked out well for us, or actually fine for us, I should say. But that was... within the last few days, really, an example where I found myself even being grateful that I knew to switch to gratitude. Like, I remember thinking 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I probably would have worked myself in a frenzy where right now I know I need to...
You wouldn't have slept.
I need to check myself here. I need to check myself for what's really important. Everyone's safe. Everyone's well. Everyone's getting where they need to be. And all in all, good trip.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say that I agree with you. Today, it's easier for me to turn my brain and be like, okay, be grateful. Where 5 or 10 years ago, I would have been so livid and not gotten over it, and could have replayed the conversation and gotten just as mad 5 days later than I was at the moment.
And that also goes back to what we were saying, that it is a practice or a habit you can teach yourself. These aren't all things that come intuitively or naturally. They're not what our society conditions us for right now. To be strong is go toe to toe with that woman at the ticket counter and tell her, exactly what's on your mind and say, I know you will do this for me and you will, you know. But is that really what was best for me and my family in that situation? The boys got in the car. We got their Whataburger. We're in Texas that they wanted to get. And we hardly ever, my husband and I, cave into fast food. We hardly ever cave into that. Like, okay, this is that occasion. And they, got on their devices and were fine for the ride. Where if our attitude had been different, it really would have been a game changer.
Yes. Debbie Downer on that ride versus, you know what?
Or maybe everyone else wouldn't have slept well or wouldn't have, might have woken up sick the next morning. I mean, you just don't even know. And so I think that's what I hope about some of the things we're doing, Cheryl, is we're maybe helping people to realize some of the things you can do. Number one, don't come naturally.
Correct.
You can just choose them and you can learn them and you can create new habits to do things like flip on gratitude.
Right.
To help you through different situations.
Yes. And it's something to work towards, is to have a little more gratitude in your life. One of the little things, I have this awesome, I guess it's a piece of art that I've hung in my children's bathroom. And it talks a lot about gratitude and, having that attitude of gratitude. I'm actually going to take a picture of it and post it on our site because I wish I had it in front of me right now to read it to everybody because it's awesome. But one of the things it says on it is walk on the ground as if you're kissing the earth.
Oh.
And that is a little piece of gratitude that I think about as I'm going out for a walk. And it changes that skip in your step kind of thing. But I'm definitely going to post a link or put a picture of that deal that I have in my children's bathroom in hopes that they can find a little gratitude in their lives. Because I know that growing up is a hard, you struggle with things. Teenagers struggle with things. Mine are on that cusp of hitting that part of their life where hormones are kind of checking with everything. And no matter where you live, or what school you're at, or what kind of friends you have, all kids are dealing with all of us personally. Life can be a struggle, and gratitude is one of the tools that you can use to help you through any of those little struggles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think we've
This was a great introduction.
Yeah.
I think. And
we'll put some links to the Heart Math Institute that Amy referred to. It has a lot of good information out there.
And I'm glad to introduce it to you. If you've never heard of it before, this is an introduction.
Definitely.
To it at least, or one place that I have found it useful.
Definitely. So thanks for tuning in. Yes. We are glad that you were able to sit and listen to us today and get a little deeper dive into one of our very important core values, gratitude.
And know that it's not just kind of that woo-woo topic. I mean, it really has benefits, medical and emotional, in your day-to-day life.
Definitely.
It's a tool.
There are physical changes that can happen in your body when you find a little bit more gratitude. And if you can keep it at this constant throughout your day, find those little pieces like Amy was saying, when you see the rose, be grateful for it. That kind of stuff. If you can keep that low level gratitude throughout the day, you can really combat some of the things that life's throwing at us to where we don't increase our stress in our bodies and increase inflammation and therefore disease. And you can really turn your health around from having a little bit more gratitude and reverse effects that you've had from maybe living a little bit more stressful life. So hopefully we've given you some tools that help you. And if you want more information, reach out to us. We'd like to dive deeper into this topic as well. Yeah.
Let us know what you're grateful for, or any resources you found, or we gave a couple tools today.
Or ways
we'd love to hear some more.
Yeah. I'd definitely love to know how you use it in your life as well. I do have to, Amy was talking about the gratitude journal. I have to fess up. I bought for Christmas last year, my husband, me, and my children, all of us gratitude journals. I don't think my kids have written in it at all, nor my husband. I think I wrote for like 2 days. Now. So that's one of those things I'm working on, because I think journaling is a really good thing. And I'm going to try and get my older son maybe to see if he'll journal a little. He might be like, Mom, whatever.
Well, and I'm kind of thinking of maybe doing some sort of, what can we call it? Guided journaling, or a journaling challenge, great. Or maybe we can pull the community in.
A journaling challenge would be really, really good.
Like that. And I can give some of my favorite tips, and we can go into that a little bit and support each other in it.
Yes, definitely. I have to fess up. I did journal at one point in my life, and it really helped me through that point in my life. After I got out of that, I threw that journal away. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we're grateful.
We're grateful that you're listening and hearing. And so reach out to us, and we hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the EnVibe Life podcast. For more information and to join our community, be sure and check out our website at www.envibelife.com. We look forward to sharing with you.